A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thought. He loses touch with reality. A good servant, but a bad master, and lives in a world of illusion. And all so-called civilized people have increasingly become crazy and self-destructive.
I'm just kidding, guys.
We got you.
You thought we were really dead.
So today we are doing our verses on Dawn of the Dead, 1978 versus 2004. We're going to talk about things we like from the OG, things that we like from the remake, and then verse them against each other.
Yeah, so let's get started with 1978's Dawn of the Dead. Now, George A. Romero's Of the Dead film started in 1968 with Night of the Living Dead. 10 years later, in 1978, he released what a lot of people consider not only the best sequel of all time, but the best zombie film of all time, in Dawn of the Dead. So, do you want to get us started talking about some scenes we love from this movie?
Yeah, so let's talk about a scene where the cops are invading the apartment building and the gangsters come out and they actually shoot one of the cops straight in the head. So that really escalates things.
It really kicks off the movie with a bang, really, because they say they're going in there to clear the zombies.
To clear the zombies.
A couple cops definitely are more racist and just want to clear out all the people that are in the building because they are minorities. And even the gangsters that come out, one is in like Puerto Rican face. I wouldn't call it blackface, but you look at it and you're like, that's pretty weak.
It just seems kind of like tasteless a little bit.
It really does. But there is a great scene that you love.
Yeah, so they actually shoot a zombie in the head and it blows up and it's freaking amazing. I love it.
And Greg Nicotero, as a lot of people know, is the makeup artist from The Walking Dead. He credits Dawn of the Dead for completely changing the way that he looked at film and wanting to do makeup. And that was the scene that he credited as one of the very first scenes that made him realize that's what he wanted to do. Now, one thing I want to talk about is you have a point with Ken Foray, who, Peter, he's down in the basement and he's, shooting the zombies. And you see that he's literally crying as he's doing this. So, like, for him, this isn't a, let's go in and kill these. Like, you're an exterminator killing animals. He still sees humans and he's crying. Like, this is hard for him to stomach everything that's happening right now. So that's a very big scene that I wanted to talk about too.
Yeah, so how about the hillbilly group that they're, going by? It looks a lot like the end of The Night of the Living Dead.
And I love that you have that right here at this moment because it does show that continuation.
That they are together.
You don't get a lot of references to Night of the Living Dead, but this shows that they are taking place in the same universe.
Yeah, I love that.
And what about this moment where you have him completely knocking over this zombie? This is the weakest hit I've ever seen. So, I mean, you really could have done this a little bit better, Peter. I know you're trying to protect your wife, protect your girlfriend, but you didn't have to do it so crazy and stupid looking. So it's a moment that makes me laugh every time we see this movie.
So something that I kind of made fun of a little bit.
So funny.
Is the turbine scalp. The zombie, he has this gigantic forehead and I'm like, wow, that is a 5 head. And then, he goes up to the turbine and it scalps him and I'm like, oh, I see what they did there.
Yeah, it was so funny because she said, she's like, what's up with that zombie's head? And she's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
I'm forehead shaming zombies.
Another thing that's a little bit ahead of its time in this film is you have them actually zombie kids coming at them when they go to the gas station and them shooting and killing the zombie kids, obviously off screen. They had a little bit of taste when it came to the movie, but it's just one of those moments where you're watching it, you're like, wow, they just gunned down a couple of kids in the movie.
I mean, hey, they were attacking them.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
So how about the zombies stealing money, in the
coin pond.
The coin pond. They're playing hockey. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, you want to talk about zombies running. You have a problem with zombies running. In Dawn of the Dead, they're stealing money and playing hockey. So let's get real here.
Right.
One thing I do love about this movie is the score. I don't think that gets talked about a lot, but the score is really, really funky.
Yeah.
And growing up, Motown, Michigan, I love the funky score that comes along with this film. It really is like that really, really funky, jazzy sound. And I think it really fits in a lot of the film.
Yeah. So there is one thing that I'm going to be a little Debbie Downer about. And that is how much time they waste. Like, they're shopping, they're trying on clothes, and I feel like they're doing all this stuff a lot. Like, that's a lot of time that they're just doing nothing.
Yeah. You have the cops at the beginning that are getting on the boat, them at the arcade, Ken Foray serving them dinner.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of filler moments
There is.
that you could have cut out of this movie. I do agree with you on that. I do love when you do get the looters at the end, the motorcycle gang, how you get Tom Savini as one of the looters in this gang. And also, you get a guy named Sledge. So you got to show some love for my boy Sledge here. I love Sledge. So I do love the idea of the looters, and having Tom Savini be one of them, I thought that was really great.
For sure. How about this, when they say this?
Listen, with those bay doors open, there's gonna be 1,000 zombies in here.
It's not very often in a zombie film.
No, it's crazy. Like, you never hear them actually call them zombies, you know?
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
Let's talk about something else that I'm not a huge fan of. When you have this moment of them running around the mall, grabbing pies, hitting zombies in the face with pies, squirting them with seltzer water. This is just a moment that I'm watching it and I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, I get having a moment of levity. Like, I love it. I love horror comedies. And there'll be some scenes we talk about in a little while that I think are great when it works. This, for me personally, is a scene that just didn't land. I thought it was very ridiculous.
They're trying to kill time. I mean,
I
can
get
you
it.
imagine being stuck in a mall for days and days and days and days?
I wouldn't be hitting zombies in the face with pies. I'd be eating the pies.
This is true. So how about the war in the mall?
All out war.
When Steven, he actually gets shot in the arm, because, he's like, we were here first, this is ours, like.
And Steven kind of goes crazy here.
Yeah.
Like, he starts shooting at the biker gang. And I love
There's
Peter.
a million
He's like,
of them,
what the fuck
Peter.
are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Like,
Or Steven, not Peter.
yeah, no, and I love this moment where, he's up in the elevator shaft and he gets shot,
Mm-hmm.
which leads to, unfortunately, him getting bit.
Yes.
And then, we obviously have Steven turning, and you have the part where Peter has to kill Steven, which is a very sad moment in the film. This guy you're rooting for from the beginning, and you see that he does get shot and killed. So those are some of the things we like or dislike from the original Dawn of the Dead from 1978. Now let's talk about some of the things we like or dislike from 2004's remake. So I talked about how, Dawn of the Dead 1978 is considered one of the best sequels of all time, one of the best zombie movies of all time. Whenever we talk about horror movie remakes, this always comes up as one of the best horror movie remakes of all time. So let's talk about 2004's Dawn of the Dead remake. Would you like to start this one off, my love?
Yeah, so let's talk about the scene where the little neighbor girl is in the house, and she's a zombie, and she bites the husband. It's, this, like, I just feel like it's so fast moving. It's like wham bam in your face.
Yeah. What I love about that moment is it shows a small town America type thing. Like, we have kids around the neighborhood that, if they came in the house, we'd just be like, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay?
Just like he is. What you doing, sweetie?
Yeah, is everything all right? And then she walks out and he freaks out because she's hurt. Like, I feel this scene.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are like, well, why wouldn't you freak out? No, there's a lot of kids in our neighborhood that come over to the house and just walk in. They know better. They're family. They're friends with our kids. They're family. They come in our house. Another thing I love is when you have her after this scene, she leaves the house and the pure chaos that's going around in her neighborhood. And then you see the guy get hit by the ambulance. Like, just a great scene. And it shows right off the bat that we're in it.
We are.
We are all the way in. We didn't, ease our way into the water. We dove in headfirst in the deep end in this film.
Speaking of that, how about the crash explosion? The overhead shot of the crash explosion.
Yes.
It looks really good, and
how you have the car get hit and go right into the gas station and it blows up.
Completely blows everything up. And then you get the overhead shot of it, and I just love that.
Another thing I love is this scene with the one-armed zombie. I know a lot of people talk shit about running zombies, and that's a theme I'm going to talk about a lot. I love that they really used a guy that had one arm for this scene. This was completely practical. There's not a green screen sleeve on this guy's arm. And the thought of a running zombie scares the hell out of me. Like, that to me is scarier. So I do like this scene a lot. And this is one of the scenes where the first time you see it, when you see him turn and there's no arm there and he just starts sprinting towards him, I was out. I remember being in the movie theater being like, damn, like, holy shit.
We're done.
Yeah.
How about when Michael takes that mallet through the zombie's head? That looks so cool.
It looks great. I love even the little bit of CGI they use in this film. It's not overdone.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job with it, and that's one of the scenes I really like. We talked about in 1978 how you had the racist cops that went into the building. You do get these racist security guards in this one that are kind of, this is our mall. And, they're talking about how you people ruin the city. This is your people's fault. So they did stick with that theme of bad people in charge, bad people that have a badge on. I do want to stress real quick, not every police officer is bad. Not every security guard is racist. It doesn't include that, but it does happen. So there's not all bad apples, but there are a couple in the bunch. I love that both these films touched on that part.
Yeah. So I was super excited to see this cameo of Tom Savini.
Just shoot him in the head. They seem to go down permanently when you shoot them in the head. Then you gotta burn them.
And I was like,
It's just amazing to see Tom Savini, someone that was so integral to the first one, come back and do a cameo in this one. I thought that was great. Now, a scene I want to talk about that it's kind of like a little bit of a heartbreaking scene is when you find out that Luda's been bit. He takes her in the bathroom, he rolls her arm up, her sleeve up so we can see her arm. We see that she's been bitten. And at this point, you're like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant, she's bit. What's going to happen here? We actually get an answer to that we'll go to here in a second.
So I want to talk about something that really hit home for me. It was kind of like a real life feeling. How Nurse Anna, she goes to the back after all the chaos and she just sits there and cries. I get it. You know, you can't cry in front of your patients. You have to be strong. But you want to break down. So it's completely real. And I definitely felt that.
For those of you that don't know, my amazing wife is a respiratory therapist. So stuff like that really does hit home for her. And I'm super proud of you. And,
thank you.
That's what she said when we were watching the film, how realistic that scene was to her. Another scene I like is how we finally do get a little bit of working together, writing the SOS on the roof, trying to help themselves get out of this bad situation that they are in. We've obviously seen helicopters flying overhead. What can we do to get out of the situation that we're in right now?
Yeah. So something that is super scary is when the fat lady is, zombie and is running at them. Creeps me the hell out. Like, it looks so cool though, but it's freaking scary.
Was she a big fat lady? Yeah, and that's, again, probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, having that turn right away in front of you. Now let's talk about Andy. I love Andy in this film. I wish we could have gotten more. I like the way that his scenes played out. When you have him, he owns the gun store across the way. So obviously he's going to be very, very good at surviving a zombie apocalypse. I think just from looking at him, I think he's a military veteran.
The thing is, like, he doesn't really talk. You only see him,
The only time you see him talk once when he's, yo, is this Ken?
Yeah.
And I was like, it is.
You still get, like, his personality.
Right.
Like, you can tell that he's a good man.
Right. When they're showing the signs of who to shoot, like one guy looks like Burt Reynolds and he shoots him, they're like, this guy is good.
Right.
Like, I really do like the character of Andy, even though we don't get a lot of him.
So we have another cameo, and that's Ken Foray.
Is overflowing, and Satan is sending his dead to us.
And this time I was like, but seriously, it's amazing to see Ken Foray again come back and deliver one of his iconic lines from the OG film. While we're talking about scenes that made me laugh, this is the scene that really got me.
1, 2,
Don't do it, man.
3.
Come on, man.
Thanks.
I'm telling you, like, that one for me was great. It had that certain delivery. I think that a lot of the comedy in this movie landed, unlike Pies to the Face.
Right.
When they did have funny moments in this movie, they landed, and that was one of them for me.
So we talked about Andy and how they sign back and forth. They write on signs, and that's how they communicate with Andy. Mostly Kenneth, he signs with him. They kind of like build a bond, a relationship.
Yeah, they have like a rapport with each other just from playing chess. And this is the first time they do it, though, when you see him talking about, what's going on over there, and they're actually writing back and forth to each other. Now, another thing I want to talk about is, in this movie, you have a moral dilemma. You find out that the dad has been bitten, and, Michael and Kenneth are like, well, we got to kill him. Anna obviously goes out there, and she's like, hey, they're going to kill you now. And he's like, what? And they're telling him, like, you've been bitten, you're going to turn, we've seen it happen. And, the daughter's crying. And then, she looks back at him, she's like, go ahead, Michael, do it. Go ahead and shoot him. Which leads into this funny moment.
They killed Tucker, too.
Wait a minute. I was never bit.
I'm telling you, I love Tucker. Tucker is not a main character in this movie.
Yeah.
But he could easily be one of my top 10 best supporting characters that just have little tiny roles.
He's definitely the comedy.
Yeah.
He brings the comedy for sure.
And it's like unintentional comedy.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to be the funny guy. Just the way he delivers lines and the way that he says the lines, great. So I do love Tucker, and that scene made us both like actually verbally laugh out loud at that moment.
So let's talk about giving birth and being a zombie and being tied up. Like, that's a bunch of stuff that I wouldn't want to do.
Right.
Like, you know, she's tied up, she's a zombie, and she's giving birth. Like, it's insane.
The whole switch of her, you know, dying while giving birth, coming back, like it's a crazy scene.
Yeah.
That leads to the zombie baby. And when, you know, we're seeing the baby, we're like, is the baby okay? What's going on with the baby? Because, you know, he was holding the baby, you know, and he's like, it's a girl. And then we see it, and then they shoot the baby off screen, obviously.
Yeah. But honestly, that zombie baby looks cool as
Looks
hell.
dope.
I love
Does look
how
dope.
it looks.
Yes.
Yes.
You're talking about a little bit of CGI. This is when it actually looks pretty good.
For sure. And then we have another funny moment is when they're, you know, all the chaos is happening, and then they get in the elevator.
I like this song.
Yes. You have all that chaos, and all of a sudden just the elevator. Hey, I like this song.
Yes.
Now, the last thing I want to talk about is in this movie, we have a mid-credit scene. They're getting ready to leave. You know, they're going to, you know, they bring up the idea. He's like, oh, what? You guys just want to get on my boat and go to an island? And they're like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, that is what we do. And he's like, all right, I'm in. But you have them getting to the island, and then you have the zombie attack, which obviously we don't know if they survived. We don't know if they, you know, if they made it, if they're dead. Didn't look very good. But I do like the ending and the mid-credit scene to the movie. Now, we've talked about some of the things we like from the 1978 original. We've talked about some of the things we like and dislike from the 2004 remake. Let's talk about some things that are similar and figure out which one we like the best. All right, guys, so now we're going to compare scenes from the two or themes from the two and see which one we like the most. So, obviously, the OG one is a sequel. It is a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. The remake is its own film in its own universe. Do you like the idea of it being a sequel, or do you like the idea of this movie standing alone in its own universe?
I do like how it is a sequel. Like we talked about the Hillbillies and how it looked like the end of the Night of the Living Dead. I do like that. I like how they, you know, put the two
Connected
together.
the two.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with the remake on this one. I like the fact that this movie can stand alone on itself. I think that it's a great movie, and I think that you don't need to have that crutch of Night of the Living Dead to make this one a good movie.
Okay, agree to disagree.
So what about the cast itself, our group and the cast of characters? Which one do you prefer?
So I don't want to shit on the cast from the OG because I think they're amazing. But I do like the remakes cast. You have so many different personalities, and I feel like it works better.
I agree with you. I'm going to go with the remake, and I'm going to build on what you just said. In the OG, you have a very few select main characters. In this one, you have a lot, and you have Tucker. And I really like Tucker. And I like the fact that you do get to know a lot of the different people in this movie. And again, I agree. I love Ken Foray.
Yeah.
I love the original cast, but there's just something special about the remake cast. It's a bigger cast, a bigger ensemble, and you fall in love with a lot more characters. So, in the original, you start off at a TV station. You know, they're still informing us on what's going on with this zombie apocalypse. And then in the remake, you start, you know, at a nurse's station, her trying to get the night off so she can go home. Which opening do you prefer? The opening of the original where you get the whole news station thing going on, or the remake where you have the friends joking around at the nurse station?
I'm gonna go with the original on this one. I like how, you know, they're there and they're trying to talk about what's going on. And you kind of, you get this little glimpse of what they're dealing with.
Right. I'm gonna go with the original as well. You know, in this world, it's been going on for a little bit, and they're still trying to figure out what can we do to stop this? What can we do to put an end to this? You don't even have one part where they're talking about dropping nukes. You know, like they're not going to stop. You know, they're only going to stop when there's nothing left for them to feed on, and as long as we're here, they're going to keep feeding.
Right.
Terribly scary. So I am going to go with the original on that one. Now, in the original, they're in a helicopter. They land at the mall to try to get supplies, try to gas up. In the remake, they make it to the mall and they're kind of stuck there. They have no way to get out. They're trying to gather stuff so they can eventually leave. Do you like the idea of the fact that they could leave at any time, but they're staying for supplies? Or the fact that at the remake, they're completely locked in and sheltered in and can't get out?
I like the original, how, you know, they stop there to get supplies, things like that. They maybe stay a little longer because they kind of, you know, hold up camp there. But I do like how they are not stuck. Like, they can leave at any point.
I'm going to go with the remake for the opposite reason. I think it's scarier. You know, you can't get out. You know, they're trying to find a way. They're trying to brainstorm a way to get out. They're up on the roof with SOS signs and, you know, they're trying to find a way. And to me, that's scarier. When you're trapped somewhere and you can't get out, it's a little bit scarier for me. So I'm going to go with the remake on this one. Now, In the original, you have our main character of Roger. You know, he gets bitten when he's at the truck. He's trying to get in the truck. He gets bitten on the arm, bitten on the leg. He ends up turning, and he asks Peter to take care of him when he does. And we get the infamous reanimation of Roger scene. Or in the remake, we find out that, you know, after they finally made it through town, they get to the boat, Michael shows that he's been bitten, and he decides that he's going to stay back and take his own life. So that way, you know, he's going to shoot himself in the head so he's not reanimated as a zombie. Which one of those two did you like better?
I like the remake. You know, Anne, she's heartbroken, like, you know, no, it's not, you know, it'll be fine.
We don't know.
Yeah. And, you know, she's like, it's not going to be fine.
Yeah.
And he stays back, and because he knows, and he doesn't want to hurt the people that he has made these relationships with. He probably loves them at this point. You know, they've been stuck together for a long time. So I like the remake on this.
I do like the remake, but I got to go with that original scene. The scene of Roger reanimating and coming back is one that's burned in my memory from a little boy to now. I love the fact that, you know, with Michael, they're both sad endings, obviously, for these characters that we fall in love with. But Michael has the presence of mind that, you know what, I'm going to turn. I can't stop it. I'm going to take my own life. I don't want to turn into one of those things. Roger doesn't have the strength. He's like, I can't do it, Peter. You got to hang out with me and make sure you take care of me. So both are great. I'm going with the original on this one. Now, I talked about it earlier. The idea of zombies that don't run from the original, or the remake when you have the running, faster zombies. Which do you prefer?
So the zombies that can run are actually pretty terrifying because it's, you know, you have a lot less time to get away from them. But I really do like the zombies from the original. The way, you know, I feel it's zombie-ish, you know, and I get it. Zombies can do whatever the hell they want. They can run if they want to. But I like the original.
I am not a zombie Hitler. I love zombies that run.
Yeah.
I think it's way scarier. I'm going with the remake on this one.
It is scarier for sure. I mean, because now you have to run, you know, if they're just like kind of...
You could be like Barbara in the 1990 Night of the Living Dead. You know, she's literally just walking by him and pushing him at that point.
Down.
We know when she's, you know, she's just at the point where she doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that in this universe.
No.
You know, I think the zombies from this universe are a lot scarier. So I am going to go with the running zombies.
Okay.
Now, I got to ask, what about the kills? Do you like the kills from the OG or from the remake more?
I have to go with a remake. I feel like they're really gory and just really awesome.
I agree. I'm going to go with the remake as well. Now, the original does have some great kills. You know, like the Tom Savini getting thrown over the balcony. You got a lot of the bikers that are getting torn apart. There's a lot of great looking kills in the original. But the remake is just, I just prefer it. I think that there's a lot better looking kills. I think they're a lot graphic, a lot more graphic. So I'm going to go with the remake on this one as well.
We like that graphic, bloody stuff.
Right. Now, I'm going to go with one that's a little bit off the wall here because this is probably the one where people are most torn. In the original, you have this gang, this biker gang of looters. You know, well, you should have answered us. We don't like people that share. You fucked up now.
Yeah.
Or in the remake, it's strictly just the zombies that are really the issue. That's what we're the most scared of is the zombies. Which do you prefer? In the original where you had the biker looters that are coming to the mall to kind of take the rest of your stuff? Or in the remake when we're strictly focused on the zombies and that's our main issue?
I like the original. So there's more, you know, even in the world of zombies where everything else is gone, you still have these bad people that are going to try to steal from you, that are going to try to take for you. That makes it scarier to me because now not only do you have to deal with these zombies that are going to kill me, I have to deal with these looters that are going to kill me. So I have, you know, that's more stuff to have to deal with.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to go with the original on this one as well. I think that once you include that, I mean, I think that it's an unnecessary part of the movie. I will give you that, but it does make it scarier and enhances the fear of what you're going through. Not only am I worried about the dead, but I'm worried about we are the Walking Dead.
That we are the Walking Dead.
You know, I'm worried about the living dead as well. So now we got the ending. In the OG, you have them getting in the helicopter and taking off. You know, we got to gas up. How far can we get? Or in the remake, you have them getting on the boat, heading off to the island to try to seek sanctuary there. So which of those do you prefer?
I like the remake, and the reason I'm picking the remake is because of all the chaos that they had to deal with up to getting to the boat. You know, there was a lot going on, and the way they prepared for it to get out of there, I have to choose the remake on that one.
In the remake, you do have the guy, even when they're in the bus, you know, and the chainsaws, and the one guy slips and cuts the girl in half.
Yeah.
Like, you do have a lot going on there, but I am going to go with the original. I love the scene where, you know, Ken Foray changes his mind. Peter, you think that he's going to stick around. He's like, I can't do this. I'm going to stick around. And then he realizes, like, shit, I don't want to die. I'm not ready. So he goes up and ends up getting on the helicopter at the very last minute to ride away. I like that ending. I like the ending that is happy in this film. I don't mind the sad ending of the remake. I think the remake's ending is great, but I do like a little glimmer of hope. So I am going to go with the original on this one. So one last one. In the OG, you have Fran. You know, she's pregnant. We find that out. And, you know, there's even a little bit of a debate about abortion throughout that. Or in the remake, you have Luda, who is pregnant, who has been bitten, that ends up giving birth to a zombie baby. Which of those storylines do you prefer?
I love the zombie baby. I think it's so cool. I love that little zombie baby.
We're going to adopt
I would
it.
love to keep it. But then it would grow up. Could it even grow up? Like, can zombie babies grow up?
Yeah, because it's dead.
Yeah,
so how could tissue grow?
It can't. It would just stay a little zombie baby forever. So
Yeah, we just feed it meat.
yeah. Okay, we're weird. Anyways, no, I like the whole storyline. You know, she's huge, pregnant, so that right there is another reason. Like, she's gonna be slower. She's gonna slow you down. You know, and
everybody's gonna, you know, risk themselves for her because she's a pregnant woman.
Right. So
yeah,
I like that.
I'm going with the remake as well. And mainly just because we get to see the zombie baby. I do love that. And the whole, you know, when she's trying to give birth and he's tying her up and he's upset, you know, he's out of his mind too. But yeah, I'm going to go with the remake on this one as well. So for those of you that are keeping score, I have 5 for the original and 6 for the remake.
And I have 5 for the original and 6 for the remake.
Yeah. So these movies to me are so special, and something else that we didn't really talk about is the No More Room in Hell.
Yes.
So you do have this one right here from the original.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
And you do have this one here from the remake.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
So of those two, which one would you say is your favorite?
I have to go with the remake. I just like how he shows back up. Like when I seen him and then he gave that line, I was like, yes.
Yeah. I do like the remake, but I'm going with the original because he's talking about how his grandfather was a preacher. You know, he believed in voodoo, and this is something that he was taught. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth, which is one of the best lines of all time. So, yeah, so that's why you guys know we have 5 and 6. So, like always, though, the points really don't matter.
No.
We're looking at a film as a whole. So, which one do you prefer of the two?
I almost feel bad saying this, but I really like the remake. I just feel like it took, you know, some of the things from the original and just amplified it. Like I said, I really like the cast. I like the way the zombies look. I like a lot of the kills. And it just keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like I said, it's just from the beginning. It's like balls to the wall. Like, we're doing this. Like, so I have to go with a remake on this one.
I actually agree. I'm going to go with the remake as well, and I don't feel bad saying it. When it comes to a zombie movie like this, I don't want the slow burn. And again, I love Dawn of the Living Dead 1978.
Because that's why I feel bad about it. Like, like I'm almost like punching Tom Savini in the face.
Yep.
But, you know, like you said, like there is a lot of slow moving areas.
There's a lot of unnecessary points. I mean, look, we can talk about how we love something, but we can also criticize it. That's the best part about being a fan of anything, not just horror, but a fan of anything in general. You can love something and still criticize it. There's a lot of very slow moving and unnecessary moments throughout the original Dawn of the Dead. Obviously, it changed my life. You know, it changed the outcome of so many people's lives.
Oh, yeah.
Without the original, obviously, we wouldn't have the remake. Without the original, Greg Nicotero might not be a makeup artist. And how many things would that have changed?
True.
Without the original, how many other zombie movies would not have been made? So I'm not shitting on the original. But I can also say that there are slow-moving and extremely unnecessary parts of that movie. You could easily cut a half hour off that movie and even make it better. So I am going to go with the remake, but I do love the original. So we want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Let us know in the comments below, which one do you prefer and why? So if you guys haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you're following us on social media so you can stay up to date on everything that we're up to. All those links are in the description as well. So until next time, I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
Keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
All right, zombie, tell them. It's a scary zombie. Eat them.